Editor-in-Chief of The Hill, Bob Cusack, is with me from Washington. Bob, thanks so much for your time. Another day, another Trump controversy, but it appears this latest one is different. What do you make of the reaction to his remarks from both sides?
Being hit by all of the Republican and Democratic rivals, and it plays into the narrative that Trump is not up to speed on a number of issues, and he's been hit on foreign policy, but here is domestic policy. I think this has been a very difficult week for Donald Trump. He has been leading the Republican field for about 8 months, but now you get this sense that Ted Cruz has momentum. He's looking very good in Wisconsin next week. But when you look at the map, it actually does favor Donald Trump because it moves to the Northeast, to New York, and he's way up in New York. But there is no doubt about it that Trump has lost momentum. He had to walk back that statement just a couple hours after he said it on Chris Matthews. It's a question of why he was even doing that show. So I think this is going to be a very interesting turning point potentially for Donald Trump.
Do you think this could get him more supporters, or at least embolden his supporters? Because one of the things that they really like about him is that he keeps saying he's not a skilled politician.
I think this is a little bit different. I mean, a lot of pundits have said this is the beginning of the end of Donald Trump, and certainly this is not the end of Donald Trump. And the question is whether he will get the delegates, the 1237 that he needs. Ted Cruz is not going to get them mathematically. John Cusack is certainly not going to get them. The question is whether Trump can get that threshold, and it's going to be very, very close. But if he is staggering into the convention, that is going to hurt him, because in all likelihood, he's going to have the most delegates, whether he reaches that threshold or not. I think this is a little bit different. I think that there are some Republicans who are thinking, they're getting a little bit more serious about their presidential picks. They're deciding between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, and this week certainly has helped Ted Cruz.
So let's talk about Wisconsin a little bit, because as you mentioned, Trump is trailing Ted Cruz there in Wisconsin. Some of the recent polls coming out showing that he's down by at least 10 points. If he loses that primary, will it make a difference? The primaries following Wisconsin still seem to be in his favor.
Yeah, it does, and that's why it's a must-win, I think, for Ted Cruz. And I think that not only does he have to win, but he has to win convincingly to start to show that there are some chinks in the armor of Donald Trump, finally, that he is losing some serious momentum. And then I think that Ted Cruz has to make up some serious ground in the national polls. He has trailed Trump consistently in those national polls. So, as you mentioned, the map does favor him going forward. But if Ted Cruz can make the case, listen, he is not ready for prime time. He is showing it consistently. I also think that Donald Trump has his promise to be more presidential, but he's gone after Heidi Cruz. His campaign manager recently was arrested this week. So we haven't seen that presidential promise fulfilled by Trump. And I think he's going to have to, dare I say, become more boring if he's going to get this nomination.
Well, we are seeing, it seems like, an anti-Trump brigade slowly building. What do you make of the state of the race? Is this the window of opportunity for the Stop Trump movement to prevail?
Yes, I do. Because remember, just about a month ago, a lot of Republicans, or at least a decent amount, were saying, well, we think that Donald Trump has got a better shot to beat Hillary Clinton than Ted Cruz. And the establishment was starting to warm to Donald Trump. But over the last month, that has changed significantly because of a number of controversies that Trump has provoked and attracted. And Ted Cruz has been the more stable candidate, and he has gotten good headlines. I don't think the Scott Walker endorsement in Wisconsin is huge for Ted Cruz, but it is something that does help him. It helps him get media attention, and it shows that the Republican establishment, who really doesn't like Ted Cruz, they're like, okay, he's better than Trump because he's more predictable. And I think that has been a key moment here in the race, is that some Republicans were warming to Trump, and then they said, no, we're not going to go in that direction. We're backing Cruz, like Lindsey Graham, who has been very, very critical of Cruz.